All right, ladies and gentlemen, the next 24 hours are absolutely critical, and I encourage you to be prepared, do everything you can humanly possible to get right with God, and understand what is coming next, because I believe there is a very high likelihood that we are either going to get a test, a nuclear test, possibly in the Black Sea, and I believe Putin will initiate this test, and or God forbid, there could be an event in Ukraine, and it could be the use of a tactical nuclear weapon. Before I get started, please like and share this video, get it out to your friends and family. And again, I'm not the one saying this. Joe Biden, in a private kind of like fundraiser meeting yesterday, who usually he says a little bit more when he's off camera, warned of this. He warned of, quote, Armageddon, and said that we are at the precipice of disaster, worse than the Cold War possibly, during JFK's reign in 1962, where there was about a week period where we almost broke out in total intercontinental ballistic missile nuclear warfare. And he's saying now that we are in the same state, if not worse. Now, here's why I believe that the next 24 hours are critical, ladies and gentlemen, and why I think Vladimir Putin may, in fact, use nukes, because I think it is actually to his advantage. Let me explain this for a minute and why I believe this to be so. Putin is in a very precipitous slope at the moment where he's got a lot of eyes on him. And by the way, he's operating out of a bunker right now. He's got two locations. One is in the Ural Mountains. One is more, I think, closer to Moscow. And he's got basically replicas of the same studio. So when he comes broadcasting to the public, to the Russian people or internationally, it looks like he's in the same location, but he actually has multiple setups in multiple locations. And he's in a bunker right now, based on intelligence reports, a nuclear bunker. So I believe this is very close to midnight. We're at red alert all around the world. Of course, we have his nuclear armed submarine, which has gone missing and disappeared just a couple of days ago, according to U.S. intelligence. But here's the reason why I believe Putin may, in fact, use a nuke. Because I don't think that the United States would respond equitably. So let me explain this for a moment. Ukraine is not a NATO country, so it's going to be a very tough sell for the United States to respond in kind if and when, and it's probably a matter of time, Putin does use nukes and detonates. You know, Trump didn't use a nuke, but he did set off a very large bomb when he became president in the Middle East to show his strength, and I think Putin's about to do the same. So it could be a low-level weapon, maybe in the middle of the Black Sea, which wouldn't do a lot of damage, but it would just show the strength and the brawn and the will of the Russian Empire and Vladimir Putin to defend his country, which I believe he thinks is facing an existential threat with NATO's encroachment closer and closer to Moscow through Ukraine. So I don't think that the U.S., I think the USA is bluffing, is what I'm saying. I don't think that they'll respond in kind. Now, this is how this would benefit Putin, because the West's only angle here, Biden's only angle, is to remove Putin, is to try to get insiders and the oligarchs to turn against him within Russia. The only angle that the U.S. and the West has, and you're seeing this through propaganda and media right now, well, people are turning against Putin. They might remove him. This could be his last year. By the way, it's his birthday today. He just turned 70 years old. They're saying things like, this could be his last birthday ever, and he's going to be removed from power, because that's the only card that the West has. If they can't remove him and disintegrate Russia, kind of like the former collapse of the USSR, which helped him rise to power and then cemented the strength and the organization of the current oligarchs in control today, then the West loses. And the reason is you've got the whole world pivoting against the United States right now. You've got Saudi Arabia, OPEC nations pivoting to China and Russia. Notice there's terse words within the last 24 hours from a Saudi prince, I believe it was, regarding one of their OPEC meetings, because the whole world's pivoting away from the United States. So here's why Putin, in my opinion, possibly drops these nukes imminently. And it could be within the next 24 hours, or some kind of test event. It shows his strength and willingness to defend Mother Russia, which is facing, in his view, an existential threat. And he can sell this to the Russian people that he's willing to go all in to defend Russia. This would also create a heightened sense of fear in the motherland of Russia for his enemies, and it would show strength. He's been dipping down in the polls recently, that he's willing to do anything to not just defend Russia, but to defend himself. So it would strike fear within Putin's potential or possible enemies that might be currently being bribed, and I argue that they would, by the West. Because again, the West is going to sell, hey, remove Putin, we'll give you fancy yachts again, we'll relieve the sanctions, we'll make you guys wealthy and rich, we'll give you gold Rolexes, etc. And they're probably trying, I would argue they are, selling this to Putin's enemies on the inside. The second layer of this, and the second point is, again, I don't think that the United States will respond in kind because, most rational people want peace. They don't want nuclear war. And Biden is saying that even a tactical nuke used in Ukraine, which I think is just a very slimly veiled threat, but he's not willing to back it up, would result, he says, in full-out war. Kind of like the Cuban Missile Crisis fears in 1962 and around that time frame. So I think that the West is bluffing. I don't think Putin is bluffing. I think Putin is likely to use a test or a legitimate tactical nuke in Ukraine very, very soon to cement his power, to protect himself, and to strike fear within the hearts and minds, which is a psychological tool within Russia, and a signal to his enemies that, look, he ain't fooling around. Okay, he will defend the motherland, and he will defend himself, and he will defend his own rule. The only card in play that I see Biden, the United States, and European nation states having, the West, is attempting to remove him. So that's how I see things playing out. This is critical, ladies and gentlemen. We have not been this close to nuclear warfare in a very long time. And by the way, Zelensky made very strong comments yesterday insinuating that the United States of America and European nation states should preemptively strike Russia with possible nukes to show him that they mean business. As Ukrainians are preparing for a long, cold winter, as Nord Stream 1, 2 have been shut down and tampered with, and Europe faces freezes in a literal freeze physically this winter, as energy costs soar, as we see these sanctions having an adverse effect on everything from food supply to energy to housing cost, you're creating this inflationary spiral, and the whole world sits on edge. So this is where I think it leads to. And again, keep in mind, everything that happened over the last couple of years was just reordering society, getting us ready for this, drawing the line, so to speak, logistically, getting people prepped and ready, because logistics take time. They take years to put all these cards into play to get ready for what I think is going to be the outbreak of war. This, of course, will result in the big one. Not just nukes being used for the first time since Nagasaki and Hiroshima, God forbid. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. But also the lead up to the complete reorganization of the new world and the new system that I've also been warning you guys about financially and economically. So this is a really, really big deal. And for example, if you go across the mainstream media right now, you'll see all these major headlines right now. Nuke over Black Sea would trigger toxic cloud tsunamis. How far will Xi go? Xi, how far will he go? White flags are rising. Fears over successor. Is this Putin's last birthday? Turmoil within the leadership. See, that's all propaganda from the West because it's the only card that they have. So this is where I think it's headed. The major headline that I'm reading right now, USA stockpiles anti-radiation drugs. Biden warns of nuclear Armageddon. Putin isolated in a bunker. So here's the point. This is the psychological propaganda warfare being played not just by the West, but also Russia. And this is what I would argue they want. I mean, this sounds terrible, but and I wish this wasn't the case, but they want to play this card. The West wants to blame Putin for the war. They want to blame Putin for the economic financial collapse here in the United States. They want to blame Putin as they already have for inflation. They need a scapegoat. They need a smokescreen, and this is it. So what would be better than what I just described? A tactical nuke in the Black Sea, or God forbid, some kind of chemical nuclear event in Ukraine. Even if it's limited, it will have the same psychological impact, especially when it's propagandized in the mainstream media and megaphoned with a very large amplifier. Because now things are all digital. Used to be the radio or television, but now everything's going to amplify digitally. And that in and of itself, even if it's a minimal test, they'll be able to amplify it 1,000 times the normal rhetoric to strike the same amount of fear that they would if they physically dropped the biggest of all nukes, God forbid. Get ready. Get ready. The U.S. stock market's down 400 points today. It's probably going to go much lower. I think we're pausing. What I think is going to happen next, I think things like gold and silver are going to skyrocket. You should own this stuff. You should buy this stuff. Get into physical. I keep telling you guys to do this. I have a lot of new subscribers, by the way. God bless you. I think I've added like 2,000 or 3,000 new subscribers over the last like week or two. So if you're new, I encourage you to get gold. Click the link below. Visit us at amtvgold.com. Get our Archangel Michaels. I just got them back in stock. They're awesome. Got it in gold and silver. Buy as many as you can within your budget. Also, get our American Silver Eagles. Get those. I was out of stock of those for weeks. Just got them back at the store at amtvgold.com. Get it. Get our barter gold. Get our silver bars. You should at least have, in my opinion, 5-10% of your portfolio in gold and silver. So do that now. Execute. I always remind you guys, I don't run ads. All these other YouTubers that you watch, they're always running Fortune 100 ads. I've turned all that off. I sell you stuff that you actually need. You don't need a new pair of shoes. Okay, you need gold. You need community. You need to be praying unceasingly. You need to get right with God. You need to get into hard assets. So do that now. Even if it's just a little, you're just dollar cost averaging today, and getting in gives you peace of mind, because as currencies collapse around the world, as we enter a period of capital controls, and I've warned about this, as we see problems with the banks or limits to cash withdrawals or another economic crisis or a sovereign debt default, which I believe is currently occurring in the United States at $31 trillion in debt. Trust me on this, guys. Gold, not only will it skyrocket, it's extremely undervalued, including in silver as well. Okay, but this is going to be the stuff that actually holds value in the future during the reset. I know most of you know this, but a lot of you don't. If you already know this, buy more. Click the link below at amtvgold.com and get what you need. If you're new, get a little or get a lot, whatever you can afford within your budget. Don't wait. You know, as we've seen with the supply chain, things have been really tough to get, building materials, to get certain inputs, to get gold and silver. There's been, supply chain shortages. We've seen this with food and other items, etc. So make sure you get your order in so I can get it to you as soon as possible. We're so humbled. I've been selling gold and silver for, going on over a decade. Also, if you have any questions, you can send us an email, support@amtvmedia.com, if you need a tracking update on your order or anything like that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all of your patronage. And then also I want to hear what you think. Do you agree? Does it make sense what I just told you? That Putin, this is actually a good move on his behalf. Either doing a test, and also keep in mind, he's got China backing him. It's not just Russia. Notice North Korea firing missile after missile over the last couple of days, and then running sorties over South Korea, which spawned like 30 South Korean Western defense jets over the last 24 hours as well. Because all of these are people in states are working together in tandem. North Korea is working with China. China's at the helm. Russia's working with China. The relationship is strengthening. Saudi Arabia, the Middle East, is pivoting against the West. They're even yelling at news reporters right now regarding the OPEC cuts. So they're going to jack oil prices up. And why are they doing that? To cripple the West. You have the whole world turning against the United States. And I would argue this is the weakest that we've ever been. The rest of the world clearly does not respect Joe Biden at all. And so they're turning on the West. The empire's collapsing. We're living through a debt collapse. We're living through permanent inflation now, hyperinflation. It's not stopping. Notice all the CPI numbers keep going up. The real wages keep collapsing, just like I told you that they would. And the central bank now under pressure by the UN to stop the rate hikes because they're hiking into a depression, and to restart quantitative easing and end quantitative tightening. Just like we saw with the Bank of England and its currency on the verge of collapse just a couple days ago because its pensions were failing. The same thing is happening in the United States of America. Get ready. Get ready. Anyways, guys, I love you. Jesus Christ is King. Thank you so much for your support. I do have some exciting news. I'm going to be starting a podcast soon. So by buying gold and silver, by supporting us, by joining the club, by joining us at islandproject.com, etc., you're helping us fuel the freedom and liberty movement to do all these big, bold things that we're going to need to create new supply chain, to create the new world, to create freedom mechanisms for the future, parallel economies, to get outside of the system, get out of the banks. This is what I'm urging you guys to do. So keep that in mind. You're helping us fuel everything that we're doing here at AMTV, and I super appreciate it. And I'm super humbled by that. So thank you. God bless you. Thank you for your support. Click the link below, place your gold and silver order. Get what you need now. Ladies and gentlemen, diversify your geopolitical risk today and get out of fiat currency. Start by diversifying with AMTVGold.com. Link below. That's AMTVGold.com. And get what you need today. Get our gold and silver bars. Get our American Archangel Michael 1 ounce silver bars. Get our American Silver Eagle sovereign minted coins while we still have them in stock. Place your order on a gold American Archangel Michael 1 ounce gold bar, and also get our barter gold. Stay prepped, stay vigilant. You need to get out of fiat dollars now, as looks like World War III is erupting overseas. Geopolitical tensions spark, not just in the proxy war of Ukraine, but now drills taking place well over the weekend through Sunday by China in Taiwan. Gold is God's money. It's been around for thousands of years. It is real, stable value, and it'll protect you and yours during an economic, financial reset and a collapse of sovereign nation states. The link below, amtvgold.com. Visit us today. You can also contact us at support@amtvmedia.com for order updates and status. Get what you need now. God bless, and Jesus Christ is King.